You know what the best part about being the Elder is, don't you? I followed the stranger as he led us out of the office and back into the cracked asphalt of the broken-down base. Aura kept behind me, her eyes darting around, looking for anyone that might give us trouble. I couldn't help but smile as I looked back at her and said, "Aura, calm down. I don't think we have to worry much around here." She rolled her eyes. "You can run into trouble anywhere, Shadow. You should know that by now." The stranger chuckled a little. "Not around here, you don't. The Annihilators are ponies who live by specific rules. You have to remember that they're stable ponies just like you, Shadow. If their leader gives them an order, no matter how much they don't like it, they'll listen to her. She's just like the Overmare in a stable." "Even in a stable, ponies don't always do what the Overmare says, you know," I replied. "Yeah. What's to stop a pony with a grudge from trying something?" Aura added. "The rule of law here is that if you disobey the leader, you die," he said, moving around a corner to one of the hangars and heading out towards the longest runway. Aura sighed. "That sounds really harsh. At least with the Red Talons, they just kick you out." He chuckled again. "It may sound harsh, but it does keep the order around here." Sounds like a dictatorship. A horrible way to live. Then again, I lived in such a way. "Hey stranger, where are we heading anyway?" I asked. "A place my family's kept hidden away for 200 years. It's the whole reason everything's happening to you, Shadow." He walked off the runway and towards a small solar array. The arrays themselves were mostly smashed and broken down. The smaller chain-link fence had rusted away, leaving only a few metal poles and a couple of links still in place. Right under the array was a small concrete building, no bigger than a house, with a metal door. "Your family's been hiding a building?" Aura asked as he walked up. He looked back at her. "No, it's what's on the inside that matters." He moved up to a terminal and typed a few things in. A sharp thump sounded from inside and the door swung open. "Follow me inside, and make sure that the door locks behind you. This part of the base is one area the Annihilators can't get into, and I'd like to keep it that way." He walked into the small building. Aura followed, and I went in after her. Once we were inside, I pushed the door closed. As soon as I did, I heard the lock click. The room wasn't large, but it was lit by only a few lights that hung over broken panels and terminals. Off to one side of the entryway was a storage room that had been picked clean years ago, leaving only empty metal shelves and dust. On the far wall, there was a nicer-looking terminal screen embedded into the wall. It was the only thing in this dump that looked like it worked. "I'd ask you if this was all you wanted to show us, but I'm sure that terminal over there is more than what it looks like." I followed him as he moved closer to it. "Nope, it's just a terminal. It's the first true lock, however, that protects the secret hidden under this base. And, for the past 12 years, I haven't been able to get past this point. Your mother used that pip-buck to lock it down so that no pony could go further than this. Smart idea, I guess. I think she did it just to keep me off her trail. I know she wasn't able to get past the second lock, so I know everything down there should be fine. But I can't be sure." "Wait, are you telling me the only reason you needed me to come down here was to unlock this terminal so you could get in?" I asked, starting to get a little pissed. "I don't like being used." He laughed. "No. If that was all I wanted, I would have told you as much. Personally, I don't have to go down there if I don't feel like it. All your mother did was make it harder for ponies to get in. Made my job here much easier. But if you want to see what she really wanted here, you'll have to unlock it." "Guess I have no choice. But this better be good," I said, walking over and hooking up the Mark II to the terminal. Level 3 Mark II lockdown found on the host terminal. Host lockdown has been in place for 12 years, 2 months, and 3 days. Systems running properly on host terminal. Lockdown has been tampered with 6 times and still holding strong. SB Mark II on the pip-buck to close off this terminal. Do you wish to remove the lockdown and reinstate connection to terminal of any user? Yes? No? I clicked yes and watched as the Mark II unlocked the terminal. When it was finished, the screen of the terminal lit up with a menu. I unplugged it and said, "There you go." "Perfect. Now, let me get us inside," the stranger said. He moved up to it and reached up to his neck, pulling off something that was hidden under the bandages. It was a small collar with a pulsing red gem. He moved it to the pocket of his trench coat, then typed something in the terminal. A message came up in the terminal, then he spoke into a small microphone. His voice sounded different this time. It wasn't as deep, and it was smoother and comforting. Passcode. Voice command override. 12th Guardian, Lima Personnel Passcode. Christiane Hoshi. What was all that about? I started to ask when the wall next to the terminal vanished, revealing an elevator. Ah. Okay. Great. A tight elevator that leads down to who knows where, Aura said. The stranger looked back at us. Don't worry. Once we're at the bottom, it's not so bad. Let's just get this over with, she said, walking past him and getting into the elevator. I did the same, followed soon by the stranger. He threw a swish and the wall reappeared in front of us. A light came on overhead and the elevator dropped. It moved down the shaft so fast that I had to hold onto Aura to keep on my hooves. When I finally got used to the speed of the elevator, I caught my breath and asked, So you do use a voice modulator? Yes. There are ponies out there who know who I am just by hearing my voice. If that happened, I'd have to put an end to what I've been able to accomplish over the years. My role in Equestria is vital, and I need to keep my position if I'm able to finish my work. This is why I can't even show you who I am, Shadow. Even now, he said before rattling the elevator. So, does Shadow know who you are? Matter that much? Don't you trust her by now? Aura asked. It has nothing to do with trust, Aura. It has to do with who she's up against. The Enclave has unicorns that specialize in memory extraction. If she was to ever be captured by them, I can't risk any pony finding out who I am, even if it is a big mistake. A risk to me, he said, reaching into his pocket and pulling the collar again, replacing it over his neck under the bandages. From the information I know, I take it and you hold a high position in the Enclave? I said, trying to pry as much as I could without asking too much. I wouldn't say that. I'm not trusted with a whole lot just yet, but one day I plan on being able to hold more power. If I can't do that, unless I'm killed or branded, he said. His voice was back to what it used to be. The elevator started to slow down to a stop. A metal door opened to a long hallway. We all walked out, and I said, I guess it all makes sense, but why do you wish to put more trust in my ability to avoid the sins or to resist the Enclave? As we walked down the hall, I could see another door, but it was behind a bright pink magical barrier. Aura walked close to it and chuckled. I figured this was the reason you said the other two couldn't come. That's right. I take it you're familiar with this kind of barrier. Aura nodded. We run into them every now and then, while working jobs. It's a big pain in the ass when your contract holder wants you to get something on their side and they don't understand how this kind of magic works. I looked at it confused by what they meant. So it's a magical barrier. I'm sure there's a way to get rid of it somehow. That's no ordinary magical barrier, Shadow. That's what's called a bypass spell. Only ponies who have been programmed into the spell can pass through it. There's no other way to turn it off or get rid of it. At least from this side, that is, the stranger said. Then, how do you plan to get us by? I asked. Easy. You see, a bypass spell will let the descendants of ponies, zebras, or griffins by also. That's why I was okay with Aura coming with us. I don't think you'd be able to get through on your own, but I can, and so can Aura. Either one of us can pull you through with us. This is the second protection and why I didn't worry about your mom getting in here. She can't pass through it. Why can Aura then? Aura chuckled. I'm guessing it has something to do with Greta, doesn't it? He nodded again. It does. She was one of the only ones that Night Stalker trusted his whole life to. My family was another, that's why I can pass through. Aura, since you came from Greta's bloodline, you'll be able to get through. And you wanted her to come along because? I asked. Because I knew that if I told you about this, and it was only you and the two of us, you wouldn't feel safe knowing that you couldn't pass through it again once on the other side if I wouldn't let you," he said, moving forward and slipping through the barrier like it wasn't even there. "Well, at least one good thing comes of being descended from that bird brain. Come on, Shadow, let's get this over with," Aura said, taking my hoop and pulling me through with her. As my body slid through the barrier, I felt something cold running up my spine and I shivered. The feeling passed as soon as I was on the other side. That felt so weird. The stranger looked back at me and chuckled. "It does take some getting used to. Luckily for us, that's the only one here." "How many levels of security is on this place?" I asked as we walked up to the door. "2, just to get into the main chamber. There's one more if you want to enter the control room. We'll have to get past them too, but they won't be a problem for me to turn off," he said, moving up to the door and typing in a few numbers on the pad next to it. It hissed and I could hear the internal locks opening. "Once we're inside, make sure you both stay next to me. Don't wander off, don't step off the walkway, and for the goddess's sake, don't touch anything." "We're not the 3. I'm sure we can keep our talons or hooves to ourselves," Aura said as the door finally slid open. He chuckled again and walked through the door. We both followed. The floor under my hooves went from hard concrete to metal. The room we walked into wasn't large. It was also pretty dark, with only one light hanging over a small panel, with a tall metal box behind it. There were small red lights running along the top of it, pulsing slowly. "Wow, that was worth the long, creepy elevator ride," I said sarcastically, walking closer to the panel and to the tall metal box. I was expecting something a lot more impressive. What is this anyway, a mainframe? "This isn't why I brought you here to show you," the stranger said, placing his hoof on the switch next to the panel. "This mainframe just controls the lights and some of the other minor systems around here. This is what I wanted to show you," he said, pulling the lever. A loud hum started to come from somewhere deep within the darkness. Then more lights came on around us. I blinked a couple of times, watching as the walls behind the mainframe split and pulled aside. The wall wasn't a wall at all, but a large door, one so massive it made the stable door look small. It had to be 10 feet thick, and it was almost as tall as the walls around Trotston. As it split and pulled away, a rush of air blew past my face, as what lay beyond was revealed. There was a massive chamber beyond it. Thousands of lights illuminated it from ceiling to floor, and it looked dark. The chamber had to be as large as my stable. Walkways jutted out from where we stood towards large power generators. Each one had cables twice as thick as I was, running from them to the natural rock walls that were built into it, sending power somewhere. I moved forward and looked over the railing and down into the depths of the massive chamber. On the bottom floor, I saw 10 massive domes in 5 rows of each side. I could see different colored lights pulsing from each one. They also had long tubes and cables coming out of them. Most of them went into the walls, to each one, but each dome had one that went towards a certain central platform that sat in the middle of the floor, connecting to its base. The platform itself had a symbol on it, a crescent moon with a sword running through it, and wings flaring from both sides. My eyes came back up, and I noticed more generators running around each wall, each level all the way down to the ground. "What am I looking at?" I asked in awe. "This is the power source for one of the innovated projects ever created by Ponykind. A massive megaspell that was created to protect Equestria in the event of an invasion," the stranger said, moving to come stand by the railing with me. "Who made this?" I asked, still not able to take in what I was seeing. "It was a joint effort with the Ministry of Awesome, the Ministry of Arcane Science, Sabletech, and the Children of the Night," he said. I looked over at him a little shocked. How did Night Stalker get them all to work together on this? I thought Sabletech wouldn't work with the ministries. He sighed. "Like I said, I don't know the details. But somehow he blackmailed one of the heads of Sabletech into helping build what you see now. Applebloom was the one who came up with the design for most of what you see. The MOA wasn't hard, since we worked for them. The MAS was harder to get him to help from. He had to go around Twilight and use her unicorns for the Mega Spell chambers. Aura seemed to finally come back to reality as she asked, "You mean those domes down there are all Mega Spell chambers?" He nodded. Each one holds a different kind of Mega Spell. They all work together for some massive spell. What kind of spell requires that many Mega Spells? I asked. Honestly, I do not have an idea. We don't know what any of this does. The knowledge was lost when Night Stalker disappeared. When the war ended, only 3 knew what this did. One was Night Stalker himself. The other was Greta. The last was Manette. He looked over at Aura and continued. As far as I know, Greta never told any pony or griffin about this. Aura shrugged. I can't say I know everything about her. When she started the Red Talons, she already had her falling out with the Enclave. If she told anyone about this, it would have been her son, who took over as leader when she left. It's possible that this secret was passed down with each leader, but if so, only Gigi would know. And that's what I thought as well, he continued. Manette couldn't have told anyone about it because according to the records, she vanished during a balefire assault. No pony knows what happened to her. Night Stalker entrusted the secret to his location to the first Guardian when he became a Dashite, but never said what it did, only that it was to be kept a secret. If that's true, then how did my mom know about this? I asked. Better yet, how did you know she knew about it? He looked back at me. Your mother is one of the best unicorns with memory spells. She found out about this place from the last Guardian, who was a friend of your father's. This was the first place she came to try and save you when you were young. Sadly, she didn't know the project couldn't be activated from here. This place only houses the power and Megaspell chambers. As to how I know how she learned, it's because I was given the information when I took over as the new Guardian. So this isn't where she came to save me? I asked. No, I still don't know where she did that, or how she did it. I figured that once she did what she needed to keep you alive, she would have gone back home. But she didn't. Yeah, she took me to Stable 28. I never could understand why. He shrugged. It's possible that she thought you would have been killed for leaving, like she did, and joining the Steel Rangers. It's also possible that she learned something more about this place and the project afterwards, and wanted to learn more. Aura got a faraway look. Or maybe she was looking into Aquila. The stranger looked over at her, asking, "Who was Aquila?" It's a long story, I said, glaring over at Aura. He waved his hooves around as if to say, I'm showing you all this, and you want to keep information hidden from me. I'm sure we have time for you to give me the simple explanation, Shadow. I face-hoofed. It's hard to explain because I don't even know everything about it, but Aquila is the name of some kind of creature that lives inside my mind and body. He gave me a sideways glance. That sounds kind of crazy. Yeah, it does. But she's not crazy. I've seen it. Aquila is real and crazy, Aura said. He looked thoughtful for a second. I know I've heard that name before, but I don't know where from. All I know is that the day Mom saved my life and cured me, Aquila became a part of me. From what I've learned from her, I need her to live and she needs me to live, I said. It took him another minute or two before he finally said, I know, I've heard about this kind of thing before. He turned and walked her toward a little lift that was at one of the ends of the platforms. Follow me, you two. Where are we going? I asked. We're heading down to the lowest level. I know where there is something about Aquila in the control room, he said. Shrugging, Aura and I both followed the stranger as to the large lift. When we reached it, he pulled the lever and it started moving downward. As the lift moved, I asked, what I don't understand is if this project is so important and dangerous, why didn't some pony destroy it a long time ago? Also, why are you showing this to me? Yeah, seems the simplest thing to do, Aura said. I wish it was that simple, but it's not. There's so much power in here, along with multiple Megaspell chambers. Any attempt to destroy this chamber would most likely wipe out everything in the region, or possibly further, he said. You're joking, right? I asked, looking over the edge of the Megaspell chamber that we were slowly getting closer to. That's just crazy. I wouldn't joke about something like that. The only way the power source can be destroyed is if it was dismantled. To do something like that, it would take countless numbers of highly trained unicorns to attempt it. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but the wasteland is kind of lacking in highly trained unicorns. Rolling my eyes, I said, "Yeah, I can understand that. So, that's why this place has been kept a secret?" He nodded. "It is. The hope was that the longer we kept it hidden, the better chance there was of it fading from history." "There has to be some way of shutting this thing down," Aura said. "There is a way, but no pony alive knows how to do it. Even if we did, we don't know where the main control center is," he said. "What about cutting off the power from the megaspell chambers? Wouldn't that work?" I asked. "It would, but the cables are protected with multiple protection spells. Again, we would need highly trained unicorns to take them down. Trust me, Shadow, my family has been trying to think of ways to shut this down for over 200 years. We thought of everything. It can't be done." I couldn't take this anymore. "Then why are you showing me this?" "Because you need to understand the significance of the danger that could come from Grimoire gaining access to this facility. From what I can tell, there isn't much here. It's just a massive battery. Yeah, it could explode and obliterate everything. Who'd be crazy enough to do something like that?" Aura said. I have to agree with Aura. What could she do if she got in here? I asked. "I'm sure by now you've realized how capable your mother is, Shadow." "I do, but how do you know so much?" He grinned from under his bandages. "I know because I've been watching you, Shadow." "So you're Watcher?" No. Who's Watcher?" "This guy who showed up the first time I was in trouble and got me out of my stable. And then, when we saved Wingnut. He keeps hacking into Sprite Boss to talk to me. He was the pony who unlocked the first layer of protection on the Mark II. You mean to tell me that wasn't you?" I asked. "I mean, come on. Had to be the guy behind the metal bugs." He started to laugh as the platform reached the ground. "Shadow, I couldn't even explain to you how half of the things work on a normal terminal, let alone how to hack into robots that were created by the Ministry of Morale. I'm a soldier, not a terminal expert." "Then how have you been watching me?" I asked. I was going to push the "you have to be Watcher" subject. "From where I'm based in Stratus, we have different ways of keeping an eye on what's going on in the wasteland. The MAS CBS towers have cameras on them. I just use them to keep an eye on you," he said simply, stepping off the lift and heading off towards a set of stairs along the wall that led up to a small observation room. We moved up the steps onto a small-looking metal door. He looked back, saying, "This will be the last security checkpoint. No matter what happens next, don't say anything or move until the door is open." "How bad of a checkpoint is this?" I asked. I mean, come on, it's just a fucking stupid door. "Trust me. Just keep quiet," he said, turning his attention back to the door and a small terminal that was next to it. "I require entry." A panel opened from the door and a minigun slid out and pointed right at the stranger. Then a voice I knew all too well from Night Stalker's memory orbs came from the terminal. It was the cheery voice of Manette. "If you want entry to the control room, you need to know the answer to the question. Mind you, if you get it wrong, you won't be leaving this place alive. So good luck. Who are the children of the night?" The stranger cleared his throat and said, "We are the ponies hidden in plain sight, to keep the ponies of Equestria safe in the light." "Ah, you figured it out first try. Okay, I guess you can come in. Passphrase accepted." Manette's voice sounded a little disappointed. The stranger let out a breath he'd been holding as the minigun pulled back from the panel. Then he looked back at us and smiled. "We're good now. Follow me inside." The door to the small room opened and the stranger walked in. I followed with Aura not far behind. After seeing the wonder of what was just outside this room, I was quite disappointed by this one. There wasn't much to see. There were shells of terminals along with observation windows that looked out over the megaspell chambers, panels with dark dials, electrical wires running to the floor, and dust everywhere. The stranger ignored all of this and headed towards the back of the room. This place was used for watching over the project as it was being built, and to keep everything controlled. They also used to store files on the project itself here, he said, opening what looked like a small storage room. When I first took over as the guardian of this place, I came here first and started looking through the files. I think that was where I first heard the name Aquila. Following him, I looked into the small room and saw boxes stacked on top of more boxes, filling almost every inch of the file room. What is all of this? I watched as he started to pull down boxes. Files and reports from everything on the chamber. Most of it's reports on where they got the materials for the generators. Names of every pony who worked on the chamber, project heads, their other projects that the MOA was working on. He finally said, seeming to find the box he was looking for and pull it down and setting it on the old table. The box was labeled Project Failures. He opened the lid and I saw it was filled with record files, and recordings, and memory orbs. Ignoring most of it, he pulled out one file and set it down on the table next to the box. It was titled Aquila. Aura and I both looked at the name of the folder in awe. I put a hoof out and pulled it closer to me. "What is this?" I asked. He shrugged. "I never got around to reading that. I just remembered the word itself. I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to go through all this. I had only taken over as guardian here a year or so before your mother locked me out. During the time I did have down here, I went through the important files regarding how this place worked and what to expect if the project ever came operational again. I ran into that while going through the boxes." "Can I look at it?" I asked. "Feel free. Not like there's anything in there that can be more secretive than what I've already shown you, Shadow," he said. Aura came to sit next to me and looked over my shoulder. As I opened the folder, I began to read what was written. Project Head Manette, written log for Project Stargazer. Log 1. Round 1 of the project looks like it would have been an overwhelming success. With all the data my team and I have collected over the past year, we thought we had all the necessary projections put into place. Sadly, it looks like we were wrong. When we first activated the project to run a test on it, the power overloaded and blew out 3 of the generators, and almost wiped out the power grid of the area. We had to go back to the drawing board. We found that we had to use something this powerful. We were going to have to use more generators to route more power from Halo 1, just to get the project to turn on without overloading the systems. For a pony like me, it was a simple fix. Only it took a couple of days to get the necessary parts and get them installed before they were ready to do the second run. At first, it seemed like everything would be working properly. The power was running steady. All the systems were good. We had a green light to go forward with a real run of the system. Log 2. Shit. I mean, holy shit. I really don't know what the hell happened today. I did everything perfect. I prepared the safety protocols, my team set up everything the way it had to be, but still, everything went to shit only 5 minutes into the project's run. I looked like a fool in front of the princess and the boss. A whole year of studying, working my butt off, preparing, and what happens? I almost killed Princess Luna and Captain Nightstalker. Damn. Well, as for my report, we started up the project with no problems to start out. The numbers were looking good and everything was ready to go. I had the honor of pulling the switch to start Project Stargazer. That was a mistake. As soon as it reached 100%, things started going bad. 3 ponies died when whatever we created took shape. I still don't know what happened, but when the light in front of that started to glow bright in the chamber, things started to explode. Safety protocols failed, magic felt odd, things I haven't felt my entire life filled the room, followed by a scream that was still giving me nightmares. Everything was alive in the bright light, and it was angry. I was forced to use the emergency stop to put it to an end. But even with that, it was still destroying everything within 10 feet of it. If it wasn't for Princess Luna, we would have all died. She cast a spell that trapped the creature within a magic spell chamber we had set aside in case we were successful. Once we had it trapped, she cast more spells around it to make sure it couldn't hurt anyone again. When everything was finished, I was told to wipe the minds of any ponies that had witnessed the event before sending them home. 3 that died had to be put down as casualties of war. though I don't know all the details that will go into that report. When what was finished, Luna pulled me aside with Night Stalker and told us that the chamber had to be used to create this creature had to be sealed. She told us that Project Stargazer was to be shut down, and we had to start from scratch. All my work for the last year was ended with a short few angry sentences. Log 3. Today, I just finished doing as the princess ordered, with one small change to the plan. Captain Night Stalker told me to make sure I keep one way open to the subchamber we had moved the creature to far below, where she was first created. He said that one day we might be able to use its power for the good of pony kind. I've always put my trust in the captain, and today was no exception. He has an uncanny intuition. The way into the chamber was sealed, but I made sure that I could still be accessed if the right ponies went down there. I decided to use a biometric scanner as the way to get inside of such a chamber. I've only programmed a few ponies into it. Only myself, Night Stalker, Greta, Amethyst Star, Lightning Dust, and Luna can gain access now. The odd thing is that when I went back to do my final sweep of the project, the chamber, I could swear that I heard what sounded like a filly begging me to help her. I looked around but couldn't find any pony, but the voice kept on asking for help. All that I found was the light that was trapped inside the megaspell chamber. Every time I heard the filly, the light seemed to pulse brighter. I don't know what to do or what to think, so I turned to leave. Before I could, I heard one last thing. The voice asked me what its name was. I'm not sure what I should have done or why I did it, but I told the ball of light it was Aquila, named after the constellation of the eagle. I felt like the name fits since those stars were shining brightly the night it was created. After that, I sealed it away. We will be storing all the reports for Project Stargazer, keeping most of them in the headquarters for the children. I'm going back to the drawing board to see if we can do something better. I just hope that this time we will be successful. I don't want to ever see that kind of thing again. I still can't get the voice out of my head. I've decided to rename the failed project as Project Aquila, hoping that we'll be able to forget everything that happened that night. I just hope that no one ever finds a way into that subchamber. I don't want to think about what happened if Aquila ever got free. When we finished reading that, Manette had left the report. I looked up at Aquila, Aura, and asked, "Do you think this is how she was created?" "I'm not sure, but it seems like it. Isn't there any way you could ask her about it?" I shook my head. I haven't felt so much as a twitch of her since Pride used that curse on her. I can still feel a bit of her power inside me. I can even access a little bit if I try hard enough. But it's almost like she just vanished into nothingness. The stranger had taken the report and read over it as well. When he finished, he said, "I haven't heard anything about this before. None of the files I have back in my place talk about it." Well, at least one good thing of coming down here. Now I know that Aquila was the subject of some kind of project. The question is why? I asked, looking back at the folders and files. I wonder what else they were working on. "Maybe there's more information on those memory orbs of the recordings," Aura said, reaching out and grabbing one of the orbs, taking it over. I never viewed the orbs in that box. I have a couple back in my place that I've watched with my recollector, but they had to do with building this chamber. The stranger said, "Maybe I should take them with me. When I have time, I can view them and see if they have any more information about Aquila, or what they were working on with this project. They may have information on where this was. If so, maybe I'll be able to figure out what Mom did to save my life." The rules have always been that nothing is supposed to leave this place, but I've always thought that rule was kind of stupid. As long as it is information on the location of this place, or what it can do, I don't mind if you take those. Keep an eye on them, he said. Aura grabbed the second orb and placed them in my saddlebags for me to look at as we looked back towards the storage room. "So, even with all that information sitting in the boxes, you still don't know what the chamber was meant for?" "Nope. Everything that was important about this place was kept on the terminals here. They were destroyed 40 years or so after the mega spells. We don't know if one of the generators or guardians did it. All we know is that somebody came in here and broke everything. That's why nothing in the control room works," he said, walking back out towards the observation window. "Maybe they wanted to make it harder for any pony to figure out how to turn this thing on. Aura said. Not like it matters anymore. All I know is that it was pointless, because the project can still be turned on from the main location. That is, if anybody knows where that was, or what it was, he said. As he talked, I kept looking through the boxes in the strange room and found something that caught my eye. Pulling out a large scroll and unrolling it, I saw the blueprints to the Lucky Horseshoe. I remember part of it from a memory of Falafel. This one wasn't the same one Night Stalker had shown him before. It had more detail along with it, with a subchamber deep below the tower that looked like it was meant for housing something enormous. Also, I could see that the spire that was at the top of the tower itself led all the way down to the subchamber. If I understood the blueprints, I could probably figure out what most of it meant. I looked back at the stranger who was looking out the window, so I slipped the blueprints into my saddlebags. I may not be able to understand everything that it meant, but I knew a colt who might understand it. When I was done, I turned and walked back towards Aura and the stranger, saying, "What you still haven't explained to me is why this place mattered to my mom. Why do you worry so much about her getting into this place?" He looked back at me and said, "I know she wanted to get in here once, and she locked down the first terminal with your pip-buck to make sure no other pony could get in here. I have a feeling that she wants to find a descendant from one of the ponies who could get past the barrier, so she could get past the barrier. If she does, then all she'll need to do is get a hold of the Mark II, and she can just come in here. What she'll do, I have no idea, but I don't even want to give her the chance to find out. I'm entrusting this secret to you, Shadow, and you as well, Aura. You know the dangers this possesses." I nodded, and so did Aura. "We understand. We'll keep it a secret." "I just wish you knew how to do a memory spell, Shadow. It would make this much easier because you could block the memory for yourself. From what I've seen of you, that kind of magic isn't something that you're capable of, or do you know how to do?" "It's not, though I never had the chance to try and learn a spell like that. Possible I could learn it if I was given the right training or time to study a spell book," I said. He looked thoughtful, then said, "I'm making a trip tomorrow to Nimbus. I have something to take care of there. I'll talk to one of the unicorns I know there, see if they have a spell book that has that kind of spell in it. If so, I'll be sure to get it to you." I shrugged. I wouldn't mind that, but I still don't see the need to learn that kind of magic. Even if I could figure out how to use that kind of spell, I'm not sure I want to block any more of my memories. "Well, it is possible that a spell book holds more memory spells. You could use it to help unblock your own lost memories." I smirked at that. You know, that does sound nice, but I'm sure something will go wrong if I try and unblock them. But if you really want to try, then feel free. "I'll do that. Well, we should probably get out of here. I don't want to keep our friends waiting too much longer," he said, turning to leave. Before he could, Aura spoke up. "I have one more question." "What's that?" He turned and looked back at the griffin. She pointed out the window at the Megaspell chamber and the platform in the middle of them. "It had to have taken 100 ponies to make something this massive. How did Night Stalker keep it a secret?" I saw his green eyes widen a little at the question, then he looked away. "Manette and Amethyst Star were very gifted unicorns. They wiped away the memories of this place from every pony's mind who worked on it. By themselves? You expect me to believe that they had enough power to be able to wipe away every memory from every worker on this place?" she said. He shook his head. "Not by themselves. They did something else. Follow me, and I'll show you before we head out." He led back out of the room, the door shutting behind us and relocking. He led us back down the steps and towards the massive Megaspell chambers, each one giving off a different colored light. On the other side, past the others, and closer to the elevator, was another, yet smaller, chamber holding one more Megaspell. Its glow wasn't as bright as the others. It almost looked like it didn't have much power left in it anymore. None of the cables led from the chamber to it. It was all by itself with a small platform in front of it. It was on that platform that I saw a chair and a helmet with wires going over it. One last one connecting to the Megaspell chamber itself. He gestured to it and said, This is one megaspell I happen to know about. It's a memory manipulation spell. Manette and Amethyst Star both created it. Once a pony puts the helmet on, the spell is activated. It is programmed to wipe out any information in a pony's mind about this place or the ponies that were working on the project. This is how they made sure no pony will ever speak of this place again. That spell inside looks like it's not holding up well, I said. It was used a lot, and most of the magic within it was depleted. Even now, I'm sure it only has enough power to work on maybe 1 or 2 ponies, he said, turning his head back towards the elevator. Aura chuckled and said, Damn, I guess that would do it. Ponies are fucked up back in the day, weren't they? She started to follow the stranger back up the lift. I was about to do the same when I heard something from behind me. It almost sounded like Aquila, but it came from the central platform. Shadow, it seemed to say. I looked back at the platform that sat in the center of the room, with all the other megaspells around it. Was it me, or was that Aquila standing in the center of the platform? She was looking over at me, her dark eyes glowing. Aquila? Aura looked back at me and said, What did you say, Shadow? I pointed up at the shape still standing on the central platform. Do you see a silver unicorn standing up there? The two of them looked over, then the stranger said, There's no pony there, Shadow. I saw her lips pull into a small smile. Then she said, You can't leave yet, Shadow. There's one more to this place than the old pony knows. What do you mean? Is that really you, Aquila? How come I can't feel you? I said, taking a step towards the platform. Shadow! Don't go up there! The stranger yelled. That platform's protected! I ignored him, my eyes still locked on the unicorn who looked so much like me, only taller with swapped colors. Shadow, I need this place if I'm able to get back my power. I can't keep fighting against this spell Pride cast on me. It's killing me slowly, and you as well. Come up here and help me get my power back. I stepped one hoop onto the step that led up to the platform. I don't understand. I thought you were able to fight off the spell. The stranger dashed towards me, but he couldn't reach me before I stepped fully on the platform itself. He landed at the base and started yelling. Get down from there right now, Shadow! If you don't, you'll set up the security system and die! I looked back at him and said, Aquila's up there. She needs my help. She's dying. I noticed when I got closer that arterial blood was dripping from her muzzle and eyes. She looked like hell. If she dies, then I die too. That's not her, Shadow. There's no pony up there. Get down, now! He yelled. I ignored him again and walked up to the white unicorn. What happened? How can I help? You're willing to help me, Shadow? Even after all that's happened over the past few weeks? She asked. You helped save my life back in Appleton. I may not like you, but you are the only one keeping me alive. At least, that's what you told me. I owe you that much. What do you need? She smiled wider. I noticed the blood was gone and she looked more powerful than ever. You've already done what I need you to do, Shadow. The power in here is enough to help me get back to full strength. You're such a fool. The stranger went to grab me, but before I could, I felt something take hold of my magic, and he was blasted away from me. Aquila had taken control, without asking me this time, without even seeming to have to try. I noticed then that the megaspell chambers were glowing brightly now, and as soon as my horn went off, an alarm started to sound around the chamber. A voice rang out around us. Warning! Unidentified presence found on the lowest level. Unauthorized access to Ascension platform has been detected. Level 10 security shutdown has been engaged. Termination in progress. Any pony that is a member of the MOA or MAS, stand back to avoid possible injury. I could hear Aquila start to laugh inside my head, and her presence starting to grow. I couldn't move my body or summon my magic as the megaspell started to glow even brighter than before. A shield spell went up around the platform, blocking off the stranger and Nora from getting to me. I felt my head move, and it looked up towards the massive generators that were holding on the wall, getting brighter as well. Now, this is what I call power. I'm so glad the stranger took us here. It was the perfect place for me to get back what was rightfully mine. Aquila, what are you doing? I yelled inside my head. You said you were dying from that spell. If that's true, then how did you take over so easily? My own lips moved as Aquila said, I didn't lie to you, Shadow. I was dying slowly. That spell was draining away my life little by little. When you stepped on the platform, though, I was able to pull out the magic that leads to the mega spells, and pull some of its power to myself. With that power, I was able to brandish what was left of Pride's fucking curse. You did your part well, Shadow, and now you'll be the one trapped inside a cage while I roam the wasteland. I will not let her hurt you, you monster! The stranger yelled towards me. My head looked back at them, and she grinned. I'd love to see you try and stop me, Pegasus. I am Aquila. I am an all-powerful. I am a creature in Equus that was meant to rule over this destroyed world. He lifted his revolver, switched out the ammo, then set around the bit. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into, Aquila. Now let her go or you'll regret it. She laughed more as the countdown started. I heard it and said, Aquila, if you don't get away now, then we'll both be killed by the security system here. No, we won't. I can stop anything that this place can throw at me. I'll just use all the power here to stop whatever it wants to throw at us. Then she spoke to the stranger. That puny gun can't hurt me, stranger. He grinned around the barrel of the revolver and said, Don't think so, huh? Security bypass code. Night Stalker's children. Shut down the level 10 security system. As he spoke, the alarm stopped, and so did the countdown. And the same voice said, Passcode accepted. Level 10 security shut down for 5 minutes. Please remove the unidentified pony from the platform before the system is reactivated. Aquila looked at him, shocked. How did you do that? Then she looked at her own hooves. Why can't I draw on the power from those mega spells anymore? Because that bypass shuts everything down for 5 minutes. So I take it you're Aquila, the thing Shadow said was living inside of her. I am. Now stand aside before I am forced to turn you into a pile of ash, she yelled at him. Something was wrong. I could feel it. A moment ago, Aquila was getting stronger. Each second that passed, it was like power was flowing from the floor, into my hooves and up into my body. Now it was like everything she had been gaining from the mega spell was being pulled away. When I noticed, I started to laugh. You didn't have enough time to get the power you needed to hold me off, Aquila. Shut up, Shadow, she said, her eyes still locked on the stranger. You may have shut it down for a few minutes, but that's still not long enough for me to take you down, stranger. No, it's not, Aquila. You see this weapon I'm holding? It's a special revolver, passed down in my family for generations. Its sole purpose is to kill creatures like you, if you make me. I'll shoot, and even if I have to shoot, it doesn't kill you. It will kill your host. From what I understand, you need her body to live, he said. Aura was looking at the stranger in horror. You wouldn't kill Shadow. Yeah. You've been doing all this to keep her safe. So why would I believe anything you say? Aquila said, her grip on my mind getting weaker with each passing second. I'll do what has to be done to protect Equestria and the ponies who live in it. Even if it is killing the pony that I swore to protect, he said, his eyes never leaving mine. Aura pulled out her spear and put it right against his neck. I won't let you kill her. I couldn't let this happen. Not over this stupid bitch taking control of me again. I wasn't going to let her do this to me or my friend again. Digging deep, I found this small pool of magic that was part of Aquila's power. It was what was left when she was able to gain from the mega spells. With all my will, I took hold of every ounce of her strength, and I pulled it to myself, demanding the power she had to become my own. Aquila was about to say something when she noticed what I was doing. Don't do that, Shadow. You can't take in that much power. I smiled in the depths of my own mind. The power was entering my soul was almost too much to handle, but I didn't care. I just kept on smiling as I said, If you're so worried, then try and stop me, Aquila. If you want my body, you'll have to take it. Aura and the stranger were standing here, looking at Aquila. Both looked confused, as if Aquila was making some kind of strange face. Then she said to me, If you keep taking that much power, your mind will break, and your body will die. I smiled again, then laughed. We'll see about that. I pulled in the rest of the power. As I did, Aquila's presence seemed to vanish and I was back in control of my own body. A small amount of Aquila was still there in the back of my mind, just like I was used to feeling her. I took a deep breath and said, I was able to put her back in place. The stranger and Aura both lowered their weapons, Aura saying, Are you okay, Shadow? You don't look too well. I looked down the steps and almost collapsed into Aura's arms, my head feeling like it was ready to split in half. I looked up at her and did my best to smile, saying, I'll be okay, Aura. I just took in too much magic. Feels like my head's going to explode. She helped me get back into place, on my hooves. I stood for a moment, then almost fell again as my head throbbed, pain running through my horn and eyes. Aura kept me from smacking my face into the floor. You're not okay, Shadow. You need to get back up to the base so you can rest up. You can't even stand up. The stranger moved closer and helped Aura lift me onto her back, saying, She's right, Shadow. We can worry about what happened later. For now, let's get you out of here. I nodded and rested my head on her back. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. They started to make their way back to the elevator, Aura saying, I'm not sure this trip's worth it, stranger. I understand that you wanted her to know of this place, but I still don't think it was worth it. She kept talking with the stranger, but I couldn't hear much of what they were saying. My headache spiked, and it almost blinded me with pain as a little chuckle filled my head. I warned you, Shadow. You can't take in that much power without consequences. Give it back to me before things get worse, because I promise you, it will. I did my best to smile through the pain. I tried to open my eyes, still holding onto the power I'd taken from Aquila. The dim light was like needles stabbing my eyeballs. I moaned and tried to close them again, my head throbbing again, and the world felt like it was starting to spin. Then all the power I was holding on to pressed against something deep in my mind. It felt like a thin sheet of glass. As the power I held pressed against it, I could tell it was cracking, as if something had been damaged inside my own mind. Before I could tell what it was, it shattered. Unbelievable pain filled my head and body as rushes of images started to flow through me. I thrashed and started to scream, falling off of Aura's back. She tried to catch me, but with how much my body was thrashing, she couldn't. I slammed into the ground, but couldn't even feel it. Aura and the stranger both tried to hold me down to the lift's floor as we slowly made its way back up to the top level of the chamber. I screamed louder as the power I had taken hold of rushed to my horn and blasted out towards the ceiling, barely missing Aura and the stranger. The pain faded slowly, away as the power left me. The images kept coming. My head fell back to the floor. It was the last thing I saw was the face of Aura trying to tell me something. Funny. She seems to do that a lot. She's always worrying about me. Such a good friend to worry like that. I let the images flow through my mind as I came and submitted. I was running down the halls of the Steel Ranger bunker. Okay, maybe it wouldn't be considered running to most ponies, but for me, even a quick trot was as close to a run as I could manage without worrying a nurse. Mom had been gone for 2 weeks now, but the nurse knew the spell to keep me alive that Mom knew. Today was what Mom would call a good day for me, and I was going to take full advantage of it. I moved into the mess hall, avoiding 2 knights and a scribe who were trying to leave. I gave a quick sorry as I moved past them, my eyes searching for the pony I wanted to see. As I ran and avoided more Steel Rangers as they moved around the mess hall, I almost ran headfirst into an old stallion who stepped in front of my path. I came to a halt looking up at the stallion, a wide smile on my face. Elder Applejam, I found you at last, I said in my young voice. He chuckled lightly, a hoof coming back up to rub my black mane. Morning, you are full of vinegar today, aren't you? You know you aren't supposed to be running around like that. On most days I'm not, but I'm feeling really good today. Look, I'm barely out of breath, I said, giving him an even bigger smile. Well, look at that. You do look good today. Are you sure you're feeling okay, little one? He asked me. He was tall, with a peach-colored coat and a brown and gray mane. His eyes reminded me a little of mine, though they were just a lighter red color. I'm fine. Even my nurse said I looked better than normal, and I decided to go on an adventure. Oh, really now? And what kind of adventure are you planning on doing while you're in the bunker, Morning? There's a mystery in the bunker, and I'm going to solve it. But I need a partner. Someone to back me up in case I get into trouble. And that pony's you, Elder. I need a wise, smart pony like you to help me solve this mystery, I said confidently. The Elder looked around at the rest of the ponies who were going about their day. Then he smiled and looked back at me. I had a lot of paperwork to go over today. I have 3 missions that just finished up, and I need to look over the reports. We lost 2 rangers out near Lapperton last night, and I need to read a report on what happened to them. And there are new recruits that need my attention. My eyes fell. I understand. You're a busy pony. I just wanted the best of the best to help me out. I guess I'll just see what one of the scribes is up to. He rubbed my mane again. You know what the best part of being the Elder is, don't you? I looked up at him. No, sir. He winked down at me. It means I can slack off whenever I want to. Now, what is this mystery you have for us to detect today, Detective Morningstar? I almost jumped for joy. You really mean it, Elder? I sure do. How could I say no to that cute face of yours? Also, it's not every day you're able to go around playing like this. This is awesome. Okay, I was talking to Vervain the other day, and she told me that some pony's been stealing stuff from the scribes. We're gonna find out who it is and bring him to justice, I said, doing my best not to jump up and down. His face went from happy to curious. Knight Vervain told you this, did she? And how do you plan on finding out who's stealing things? My smile grew bigger as I said, That's the easy part. I figure whoever's stealing stuff from the scribes has to be one of the scribes. He thought for a moment, then said, You may have a point, but how did you come up with that deduction? I looked at him confused. What's a deduction? He chuckled. It means idea. How did you figure it out? Oh, well, Vervain said this pony's been getting away with it for 6 months now. I literally just caught it because Mom said something about the numbers being off with what's been coming in and what's been going out. Only a scribe like Mom would be able to do something about that. He started to walk out of the mess hall, and I followed him. Well, if you're right about this, then we should investigate, shouldn't we? That's right, Elder. I have 3 ponies in mind that I think could have done it too. Do you really? You've been a busy little filly, don't you? I don't get out much, and since my room is right next to the scribes' rooms, I hear a lot of what they talk about during the day. 3 ponies always talk about how unfair things are around here. I think it's one of them, because I know they said something about doing something to get even, I said as he led us to the area in the bunker the scribes used. Morning. To start our investigation, I think we should start by gathering evidence. Now, which scribes did you overhear? The Elder asked. Junior Scribe Butternut, Scribe Basil, and Senior Scribe Tallow. I've overheard them at least 3 times now talking about stuff. And who do you think is the most likely culprit? He asked me. I took a moment to think. My best deduction is Tallow. He's the one making the most noise when he complains the other day. Then let's start with his room, he said, walking off towards one of the doors that led to a private room. You do know this is a very serious accusation. He won't be happy if you're wrong. I chuckled lightly. He can be mad all he wants. That's why I have you watching my back, Elder. You're my deputy. He laughed heartily. Oh, your deputy, huh? Well, Detective Morningstar, since you're so sure, how about you knock on the door and interrogate him? I'll just wait here and keep an eye on things. Yes, sir, I said, bringing my hoof up to knock on the door. A moment later, another tall stallion opened it and looked down on me. His face looked irritated as I interrupted him. What do you want, kid? I'm requesting entrance to your room, Senior Scribe Tallow. I'm investigating stolen tech, and we have reason to believe you have something about it, I said, puffing out my chest, trying to look tough. Piss off, kid. I don't have time to play games with you. I have plenty of other things to deal with today, he said, moving to shut the door, but I stepped in.
Talo, you will let me look through your room. If you do, I can rule you out as a suspect.
I said, piss off before I go find your mother and make her make you leave. It was right then that the elder came into view, saying, Now, Talo, I'm sure you can help this little filly out. All she wants to do is rule you out as a suspect. Unless you have something to hide from our bunker's best detective. Elder Applejam, I didn't see you there. I'm sorry, but I don't have time to be playing games with her. I have so much work to do, he said, giving a slight bow. This won't take more than a minute. I'm sure you can take a couple minutes out of your busy day to humor her, and if not her, then me, he said, giving the scribe a look. He bowed again, glaring over at me. Yes, Elder, but I'm not sure why you care about what this filly has to say. I care because she's a smart little filly, and I trust her judgment. If you have nothing to hide, then you shouldn't care one bit about her looking through your room, he said, then turned to me. Go ahead, Morning. I'll wait out here with this suspect. I beamed and pushed past the other stallion and started to look through his stuff. His room wasn't large. He only had a few things in it. A couple of hoof lockers, a desk with a terminal, and a bed. I started to look through one of the hoof lockers, only finding a couple odds and ends. Same for the others. I checked under his bed. As I did, I could hear the scribe talking to the elder. You really shouldn't let her go around doing things like this. Isn't she the filly who's always sick in the infirmary? She is. And I'll do whatever I want in my own bunker, Talo. She came to me with information from Vervain about missing tech, and she thinks she knows who took it. She could be wrong, but I've learned over the years not to take anything lightly. I was about to give up and say this was a bust when I thought about something. If I wanted to hide something from Mom, I'd put it under my mattress. She always forgets to look there. I moved over to the bed again and pressed a hoof under the mattress. I dug around till I felt something and pulled it out. It was a little black book. I grinned wide and brought it over to the elder and Talo.
What is this, and why are you hiding it under your mattress?
He tried to take it from me, but the elder was faster. He took it from me with his muzzle, and using his hooves, he opened it and started to look at the pages. The scribe looked worried. That's nothing, Elder Applejam. Just notes I'm keeping on some research. As the elder was looking at the book, another scribe came running up to him. She was one of the younger scribes that helped my nurse from time to time. Her name was Hazel. She was panting when she reached us.
There you are, Elder. Somebody told me that they saw Morningstar with you. I've been looking for her all day.
He looked up from the book and said, It's okay, Junior Scribe Hazel. Morningstar's been helping me with a little project. Then his gaze fell on the other scribe. I want to speak with you in my office, Talo. From what I'm reading here, you have some explaining to do. He looked a little angry. For what? I didn't do anything wrong. That book isn't shit. I bet her mother Grimm told her to plant that in my room. You just said it was yours, Talo. Don't you dare go blaming Morningstar or her mother for your indiscretions. My office, now, he said, his hard glare never leaving the other stallions. He hung his head. Yes, Elder, right away. When he started walking off, he looked back at me and said, How did you know he was the one, Morning?
He seemed the guiltiest. Like I said, he was always complaining about you and the way things have done around here. I just went with my gut.
He smiled at me. Well, you did a good job, Morningstar. I'll be sure to let Grimm know how much help you were for me today. You should go with Hazel. I'm sure you've had enough adventure for one day. I did feel like I was getting a little weak, and my heart was pumping faster. So I nodded and beamed up at him.
Thanks for playing with me, Elder. I had a lot of fun.
So did I. Now, off to bed with you. I expect I'll be busy for a while now. Good job, Detective. It was an honor serving as your deputy. He gave me a wink and a smile as he walked off, telling two knights to follow him as he went back to his office. Hazel smiled.
The Elder sure likes you, Morningstar. Now, let's get you back to bed. Vervain or your mother will be cross with me if they found out I let you wander off while I was keeping an eye on you. I'm sorry, Hazel. I don't want you to get in trouble. I was just tired of laying around all the time.
She smiled at me.
It's okay, kiddo. I remember what it was like when I was your age.
The memory faded away, only to be replaced by another.
Morning Star, are you paying attention? Mom asked.
I looked back at her and away from the other fillies and colts who were playing just outside our room in the Steel Ranger bunker.
Yeah.
Mom gave me a hard look, then smiled.
No, you weren't. You were watching other kids play, weren't you?
I nodded.
I don't understand why I can't play with them. They look like they're having a lot of fun.
There weren't many kids in the bunker. Most of them were a few years older than I was, but they all seemed to be having so much fun.
You know why, Morning. You get sick too easily and you can't overexert yourself. You remember what happened last time I let you go play with the other kids?
I did remember. I had a major episode, as Mom called it, and I couldn't get out of bed for over a week. I knew why I couldn't play with them. That didn't stop me from asking every other day. Mom had a spell to keep me healthy. Why couldn't she just use it before I went to play so I could have fun for once? I groaned and laid my head down on the small desk I was sitting at while Mom tried to teach me.
I know, I just don't like it.
She smiled and came over, kissing the top of my head.
I know, sweetie, but I promise you soon that you'll be able to play with the other kids.
I looked up hopefully.
Did you find something that can finally fix me?
She brought up her silver pip buck, looking through some of her notes.
I think I have. We'll be making a trip really soon to meet with Vervain. Yay! I haven't seen her in forever,
I said, jumping off my seat.
When are we leaving?
Slow down, Morning. Don't overdo it, she said, her horn glowing as she used her magic to pick me up and place me back in my seat.
For Celestia's sake, you already look worn out.
My heart was beating faster than normal, and I did feel weak, but I didn't like Mom worrying too much.
I'll be okay. Cross my heart.
She laughed.
I really wish you wouldn't use that particular metaphor. I've learned over the years how to tell when you're getting sick again. If you don't stay calm, I'm going to have to put you into bed and rest.
I slunk down in my chair.
Fine, I'll be good.
She laughed again.
You always say that.
There was a knock at her door when Elder Applejam walked in. Senior Scribe Grimoire, may I have a word with you, please? Mother bowed a little.
Elder, what a surprise. What do I owe the honor?
He smiled. I heard a rumor that you are going to be heading out tomorrow. Is that true? She nodded.
Yes, to obtain more information on the project I was looking into. I think I finally found out what I need to save my daughter.
His eyes got wide. Did you really? That's great news. May I ask where you'll be off to?
It's a lab that I believe is hidden underneath one of the MAS EB towers, outside of the trading town of Cartwheel.
That's perfect. She looked at him confused.
Why do you say that?
Because I have no mission for you, and it just so happens to be where you're going.
What do you need me to do, Elder? Remember you said that I could always put my daughter's health first.
Mom said, looking back at me. I did, and I still will. You go and find this project. Afterwards, I want you to go to Stable 28 with Paladin Vervain. She's been having trouble with the ponies there. They still don't seem to trust her. Mom scratched the back of her head.
That makes sense. Stable ponies don't trust outsiders very much. I'm shocked she was able to talk her way into the stable in the first place. How will I be able to help?
He chuckled again. Easy. I want you to find a way in and start modifying the memories of all the ponies there.
You want me to do what?
Mom said with a look of shock on her face.
Modifying the memories of at least 500 ponies? Wouldn't that take months? Not to mention the inconsistencies I'd have to deal with if I'm working with them as well. Also, how do you plan on me getting in there? I'm a unicorn. That stable is an Earth pony-only stable.
Grim. I know you'll find a way to make it work. You always do. But at the very least, we need to make sure ponies don't try and kick her out. She's been learning a lot about that stable over the last few weeks, and I want more information.
What about morning? I can't be away that long.
I was planning on having you bring her with you. I'm guessing you want her to travel with you for this other mission of yours. Just keep her with you, and when you get to the stable, who knows, it might help you get in, he said, still smiling. Grim, I put a lot of trust in you, and you know that. I have the utmost faith that you'll be able to do what it takes to make this work. I kept watching my mom as she looked down at her hooves.
If I can get in and morning is better, then I'll do my best to make this plan work, Elder. But I can't promise I'll be able to modify that many memories. I'm good at memory spells, but I'm not sure I'm that good.
He put a hoof on her shoulder and patted it softly. If you can't, then we'll have to go with Plan B. But I hope you can. He moved closer and said in a quieter voice, I've been getting reports that a pony from Stratus looking for you in Morningstar. He pulled away, then looked back at me, and then she looked at him again.
You don't think it's...
He nodded. I heard the description from an old friend in the Talons. It's him. I know you put a lot of trust in me when you told me about your past, Grim. This is showing me, how much I trust you. You've been a loyal member of my branch in the Steel Rangers for years. This is my way of paying you back for everything you've done. Use this as a way to hide for now. Table 28's location isn't known to very many, and it's a better place to hide than our old bunker.
Suppose it's a good idea. Maybe Morning will be able to find friends her own age in the stable. We could start a better life there, at least for a while. Mom, what are you talking about? I asked, getting a little confused by the older pony's words.
She smiled back at me.
There's nothing, sweetie. Elder Applejam has just given me details on my next mission. The one that you'll get to join me on.
Yes, little one. You'll be going to a place where you might meet ponies your own age, the elder said.
But what about you, Elder? Are you coming with us?
He shook his head. I have my own job to do here at the bunker.
But when will I see you again? I asked.
I love the elder almost as much as I love my own father. He was so kind and wise. He walked around Mom and rubbed my mane. Don't worry. You'll see me very soon again one day. You have my word. I moved forward and hugged him tight.
I'm gonna miss you, Elder Applejam.
He wrapped his forelegs around me, saying, I'll miss you too. Going to be a lot quieter around here with you gone. I'll have to find a new way to escape my daily duties every once in a while. I pulled away and stood as tall as I could in my chair.
Just remember not to overdo it. You are getting old, Elder.
He barked a laugh. I was old before you were even born, but I'll keep it in mind. Mom walked over and asked, I'm assuming you want me to leave right away? Take a couple of hours to get the things you need ready, yes, but you'll be leaving tonight, he said, turning to leave.
Yes, sir. I'll be ready to go soon.
He turned and smiled at me once more. Remember what I always tell you, Morningstar? I beamed at him.
Always keep your head held high, and never show your enemy your back.
That's a good girl, he said, then left the room as I yelled,
Ad Victoriam!
When he was gone, Mom moved to shut the door.
Morning, we'll be leaving soon. I want you to take a nap while I get things ready. Do I have to? Yes, you do. This is going to be a long trip, and I need you to get as ready as you can for when we set out,
she said, picking me up in her magic and moving me to the small bed that was next to hers.
I yawned and nodded. Okay. Good girl. Mommy's going to be getting some work done while you sleep.
I closed my eyes as Mom went to work around the room packing our things. 10 minutes later, when she thought I was sleeping, she went over to her desk. She looked back at me, but didn't notice I was still awake. I just had my eyes cracked open. She started to do something with a silver pip buck, then a moment later a stallion's voice came out. Grimoire, is that you? The stallion said. He had a hard and commanding voice.
Yes, Elder Wolfsbane. I have an update for you.
I was wondering when you were going to contact me again. It's been weeks since your last report, he said.
I was leaving for Cartwheel tonight with Morningstar to look at that project you found files on. I think I located it just outside the town.
Cartwheel, huh? Now there's a town I wouldn't want to visit anytime soon.
Why is that, sir? Mom asked.
It's a long story. Don't worry too much about it. What do you plan on doing once you're in Cartwheel?
I'll be heading to the lab that should hold the project itself. If everything works, I'll be able to save my daughter. If that works the way I think it should, we should be able to use the project for whatever you want it for.
The other elder took a moment to respond. What if it's another dead end like the last 3 times you said you found a project that we could use?
It's not. I found memory orbs of one of the Children of the Night. It shows the project I saw, plenty of data of what they were used for building it. This is real. I know it.
I hope you're right. But if that's all you have, why did you bother me with this? You could have easily given me a written report on the whole thing once you're out here in Hidden Sands.
Mom sighed. I know. But that's not the only reason I'm contacting you. I've been given a new mission. I'm going to a stable to help Vervain.
For how long?
I'm not sure yet, but it could be a year or 2. It all depends upon what we find in there. I wanted you to know before I head in case I can't get a message out once I'm inside.
Another pause, then he said, It can't be helped. Just make sure you do whatever you can to keep me updated on the project once you find out more. I'll be sure to update Crackerjack on the details as well. He'll keep an eye on Elder Applejam while you're away.
Mom tensed up. He's a good pony, sir. I don't think we'll have to worry about him.
He's a fool. Honestly, if it wasn't for your persistence, I would have had Crackerjack take care of him long ago. I'm warning you, Grim. If he proves to be a problem, he'll be taken out. His daughter has a better head on her shoulders, and I would say is more willing to listen to what I have to say than that old fart.
I understand, sir.
Grim, what will you be doing with your daughter while you're in the stable? He asked.
She's coming with me, sir. I can't be away from her for that long.
What if this project works, though?
I still won't let her out of my sight. I've done all this so I can save her.
You remember our deal, Grim. Once she's healthy, she's supposed to come to Los Alicorn to become one of our scribes. If she really is as talented as magic with you, he said.
I remember, sir. But she stays with me until I know she's going to be okay. After that, we can talk about her going to Los Alicorn.
Good. Now, you should finish up with what you're doing. I expect to hear back from you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. Grimoire out, she said, hitting the button on the side of her pip-buck to end the transmission. When she did, she leaned back in her chair and sighed. I hope this is all worth it. Goddesses, what did I do to get myself into this mess? When she turned to check on me again, I made sure to close my eyes, not wanting her to know that I heard everything she said. But I couldn't hide the tears. I could feel another memory start to replace the last one, but as it came closer, the images started to form. I felt my mind being pulled away from it again, as if some pony was trying to keep me from seeing my past. I tried to pull away. I wasn't going to let anyone stop me from finally finding out who I was. I wanted to know more about myself since I first woke up in the stable. This is my chance to finally know. There was another tug on my mind, and I was thrust down and soon found myself in a room. It wasn't anything special, just a room with white walls and nothing else in it. I knew that this wasn't a memory. It was myself again. Not the small sick filly I'd seen only just moments ago, as I relived my past. It was then that I noticed another pony in the room. It was Mom. I backed away, saying, "What are you doing here?" She looked younger, almost exactly like she did when I lived in the stable. She smiled back at me. Not a cruel smile like when I last saw her, but a kind one. "It's about time that you broke through that barrier, Shadow." I looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "You look confused, sweetie. Are you okay?" she asked, taking a step towards me. But I backed against the wall, wishing I had some kind of weapon on me. "I'm fine. Why are you here? Where are we anyway?" I asked, trying to figure out what was up with this creepy white room. She laughed gently. "This is a small space in your mind, Shadow." "In my mind? Are you, Aquila, trying to play tricks on me again?" "If you are, I'm not falling for it," I said. "No, I'm not that thing. I'm your mother. Well, a part of her magic, at least. I left a small bit of my power within you just in case you ever needed me, or if you broke through the magic I used to block your memories. Why are you back against the wall like that? Because the last time I saw you, you were trying to kill me? I'll have you know that I really don't appreciate it either. She got a faraway look for a moment, then said, Why would I do that? I don't know, but you didn't know who I was. You wanted my pip buck and you were going to kill me to get it. You turned into a bitch with age. Watch your language, young lady. And I have no memory of that ever happening. That's not surprising. It's been a long time since I left this echo of myself inside your head. If it makes you feel better, I'm not really grim, and I won't hurt you. I relaxed her a little, then asked, So you aren't real? I am real, but I'm also not real. That makes no sense. She frowned, then took a moment to think. Finally, she perked up and said, Think of it like this. When your mother, the real Grim, left the stable, she made sure to reseal the spell blocking your memory. When she did, she left a small piece of herself in you. That piece is me. I'm still your mom, but not the body or soul of your mom, just an echo of her personality and magic. Okay, I understand that, but why are you showing up now? I finally asked, moving closer to Mom. When I did, the room changed and I found myself in Stable 28's atrium. Damn, Aquila was right. I always find myself back in this fucking place. Right, language, sorry. She laughed a little, sitting down on one of the tables. That means you felt safe when you were here, even if you didn't like it much. Come sit with me and we can talk. I don't have much time before the spell that created me fades away. And I have a few things I want to talk to you about. I just looked at her and asked, What has you so happy? I just can't believe how much you've grown since I last saw you. I wouldn't say that I grew that much. I'm still a shrimp. She laughed again. There's nothing wrong with being short, Shadow. My mother wasn't much taller than you. Rolling my eyes, I said, Yeah. She laughed once more. Oh, my dear Shadow. You are still so difficult. Mom laughed a little harder. Anyways, you said you had something to talk to me about? I said, trying to get to the previous conversation. Ah, yes. Well, I'm sure you know by now that I was the one who blocked your memories once we got to Stable 28. Yeah, found that out a couple weeks back. Well, I did that because of what happened after you merged with Aquila. The first 2 nights you were in the stable, you kept having nightmares, and when you did, you would give off extremely powerful bursts of magic. It almost got us kicked out of the stable. I had to get rid of those memories just to keep you to sleep. But, no matter how hard I tried, you kept having dreams and problems with your magic. In the end, I blocked everything from you and made up a lie saying you got hurt. I did all this just to keep your mind intact, she said, leaning her head on her hooves. I figured that out just by what I learned already. I don't understand what the point of it all was. How does making me forget who I was stop the power from flowing out of me like it was? Aquila was still weak from using her magic to keep you alive. She cured the curse that was around your heart, and it almost killed her. I tried to cage her away a couple of times, but she was using her memories to hide herself from my magic, and she was pulling on your own magic to get stronger. Finally, I had to get rid of them all with a barrier I put up around your mind, keeping her out of your memories. With nowhere to hide in your head, she was easier to find and cage. It was only then that I could protect you at the time. Back then, I still didn't know what she was or why she wanted it in your head. Even then, I had to leave the stable. I didn't understand fully. Guess I can understand that too. Why didn't you just remove her from my body once you had her caged up? She sighed. Because I didn't know what she was or how her power worked. If I did something wrong, you could have died. I wasn't going to risk that, not after finally getting you healthy. So you caged her away instead of hoping that one day I'd be strong enough to fight her off? Not really. I wanted to cage her until you got out of the stable and came to find me. I was hoping that by then I would have learned something that I needed about her, and she could remove her myself. The problem is, from what I can tell, you let her out of her cage, she said sadly. I don't remember ever doing that. The only way she could have gotten free was if you accepted her help or something. Over the years, she'd probably have been weakened by the cage enough to talk to you sometimes. If I know that bitch like I do, she probably offered to help you stop the flow of memories so you could have started getting back to where you found the mark too, Mom said. I looked at her, shocked. That is what happened. She said she could make the pain in my head go away, and I said yes. And that's what I thought. It would explain why the magic was shattered by you and not the protection spell I put on the Pip-Buck. Damn, I knew I should have left you some kind of clue about that when I left, but I didn't have much time, she said. Not that bad, really. I agree she can be a bitch, but she did save my life, more than once. I'm sure she did. She needs you to be alive to keep herself alive, at least until she can take over your body for herself. One thing I do know about her is that she's a parasite. She can't live without a host. She has said as much before. But what does this all have to do with you showing up like this now? I asked. Like I said, I set up a spell in case you ever broke the memory spell of yourself, and if Aquila was out of her cage. I'm here to make sure that we can't take you over for a while. And how do you plan on doing that? When we're done talking, this echo of me is going to recage her. It won't last forever, not with how strong she was able to get since you left the stable. But I can keep her at bay for a little while, giving you time to figure out a way to remove her yourself. I groaned. I don't see that happening. She's too strong. Shadow, that sounds like a pony who's given up all hope. Because I have. The only reason I broke through the memory spell was because I was able to take back some of the magic that she stole, keep it away from her. It's only a matter of time before she finds a new way to get what she wants. I have faith that you'll figure this out. And what if I can't? Mom's face fell. Then, there's only one choice left for you. You'll have to kill her, by killing yourself. As much as I hate to say it, that's the only thing that I can say, or think, that'll put an end to her to good. My eyes fell. I've already thought about that. I really don't want to have to die just to stop her. Gotta be another way. The only other thing I could see working is if you found a zebra who knows how to make protection ward talismans. I may not know what she is, but I know that the magic I used to cage her was close to what a talisman like that would do. I used to have one of those, but I lost it a few days ago when I was fighting Pride. She looked shocked. Pride? You mean you met the 7 Sins of Equinity? I did, and I fought them a few times too. Killed Pride last week. How did you do that? You say it like it's just another trip to the grocery store. She asked, the shock never leaving her face. It's a long story, and like you said, we don't have time. Was he really my uncle? From what I saw and a couple of memories, it seemed like he was the one who cursed me. She looked sad again. I don't have the ability to talk about those days. It would have been too long, and I probably wouldn't have finished it by the time the magic fades. But I can tell you that he was my brother. Great. So I killed my own uncle. Wish I could feel bad about it, but I didn't. Whoever Pride was before, he was a monster when he died. I wish you could tell me more about him. I do too. But if you want those answers, you'll have to ask the real me. This echo can't answer those kind of questions. I shouldn't be surprised. That's how things seem to go out here for me. I sighed. I can't even ask you in person because you've gone completely nuts. You said something about that before. You said I didn't remember you? Yeah. I tried to tell you who I was, but you just got mad and told me that I died 10 years ago. The echo of Mom looked thoughtful again. At some point you must have wiped my memories of what happened and placed them. If I run into you again, I'll have to kill you. I can't see another way of helping you. If my memory in the present was messed up, it can be reversed. You just need to find someone to teach you memory magic. If you learn some spells, you should be able to fix the damage that was done. I looked at her hopefully. What do you mean? She laughed. Shadow, my special talent with magic is all about memory magic. If anybody knows how to work around memories, it's me. The spells you have learned aren't that bad either. So, don't give up so quickly. I couldn't help but smile a little. I can at least say I'll try. And that's my little star. Now I should finish this up. Don't have much power left in me, and if I wait too long, I won't be able to cage up Aquila. You have to go so soon? I have so many more questions I need to ask you, I said, reaching out to put a hoof on hers. She smiled and said, I wish I could stay forever, but I'm not your real mom. Just a spell that looks like her. Don't give up hope on helping the real me. Deep down, she still knows who you are. All I need to do is help her get that memory back. As she spoke, a small ball of black light appeared on the table in front of us. In the middle of it, there was a small speck of white. What's that? This is Aquila. She doesn't have a true form or body. She's just energy right now, and not much of it at that. Whatever happened to her and you, it did a lot of damage. I kind of feel sorry for her. I think the only reason she's so evil is because she's tired of being trapped. I'm sure she is, but sorry or not, she's a threat to the wasteland and to you, Mom said, her form starting to glow. She pulled the ball of light into herself, and her smile grew bigger. What do we do now, Mom? She smiled. You do what you need to do. Worry about yourself first and me second. I'll keep her at bay for as long as I can. She may still be able to break through now and then to talk to you, but she can't take over your mind. I don't know how long it'll last, but I'm hoping I can buy you at least a few weeks to figure something out. Her form was starting to fade along with the ball of light that was Aquila. So I said, I love you, Mom. She smiled wider, a tear in her eyes. I love you too. Also, one last thing before I go. When this spell is complete, it'll fix some of the damage did to your memories. Don't worry. You'll be able to start remembering things about yourself a lot easier now. Good luck, my little star. Remember to shine brighter than every pony else. She disappeared, and the last thing I saw on her face was a smile. She looked proud of me. I smiled back, then sighed. I guess time to go back to my friends. I opened my eyes slowly. I looked around, wondering for a moment where I was. Then I noticed I was lying on one of Javelin's couches. Aura? Stranger? I heard someone moving off the other couch. Aura's face appeared over me. Well, at least you weren't out as long as you normally are. How you feeling, Shrimp? I sat up and looked around. I feel good, actually. How long have I been out? Maybe a half hour or so. You scared the shit out of the stranger when you blasted the ceiling, then passed out. I wasn't worried, though. I'm getting used to you passing out like that, she said, sitting on the couch next to me. Where did he go? I asked, noticing the stranger wasn't here anymore. Same for Wind Thresher and Wingnut. He had to get back. Said he was away for too long as it was. I told him you'd be fine and not to worry about you too much. That's too bad. I wanted to ask him a little more before he left. Laura sighed. I know. But he's living a double life. He can't spend too much time down here without somebody noticing he's gone. I think he would have stuck around to make sure you were okay, but he got signed to transmission and had to leave in a hurry. I looked over at her. What kind of transmission? Something happened in the clouds. I'm not sure what. And that's all he would tell me before he left. Any idea what it could be? No idea. We Talons tend to stay out of Enclave affairs, she said, yawning. I remember reading that on the rules of the Red Talons. She nodded. The Red Talons have their own problems with the Enclave. But I do know that most every Talon company hates working with them. Personally, I think they're probably just really shitty bosses. I sighed. I never got a chance to ask any of the Red Talons. But why do they hate the Enclave so much? What happened at Griffinstone that would piss off Greta so much that she had to make a rule about working with them? Yeah, I don't know the details personally, but I do know a few years later after the war, the Enclave started moving in on Griffinstone skies. And that pony Night Stalker led an attack on Griffinstone itself, from what I know. He made it uninhabitable, and the remaining Griffins had to find homes in Equestria. That's about the time Talon companies started up. The Red Talons were the first. Whatever Night Stalker did, it pissed Greta off.
because it was after the attack on Griffinstone that she left to form the Red Talons. Damn. It'd be bad if Greta left Night Stalker's side for that. From what I've seen, those two are really close, I said, leaning back and looking up at the ceiling. I smiled. I don't know about that. Greta is honored in the Red Talons, but she's also hated. We love her because of how she built us and the traditions she started, but in the end she betrayed her own kind. I frowned. How'd she do that? No Griffin knows what she did. Only Tonto knows. All we're told is that she broke one of her own rules and left the Talons in the end, leaving her son to take over as the new leader. Aura said simply. So even Greta couldn't hold up to her own rules, huh? She laughed. No, she couldn't. But if I take after her in any way, then I'm not surprised. You do kind of remind me of her in a way. You look different, but your personalities are the same, I said, snickering a little. You're gonna make me sick. Stop comparing me to family, she said, but I could tell she was joking. All joking aside, I know what you mean. Mom used to say that too. We have a recollector in Crimson Canyon, and she's viewed a couple memory orbs we have of Greta. I wonder if Gigi would ever let me look at them. It's not up to her. Tonto's the one you'd have to ask. I don't see why he'd mind. He'd probably like you, she said. I was hoping I could meet with him as soon as we've done finding Stardust. Well, we ended up having to go back to Crimson Canyon. I'll introduce you. I laughed again. I look forward to it. By the way, where are Wind Thrasher and Wingnut? They're outside. They wanted some fresh air after being cooped up in here for so long. They were just waiting for you to wake up. Javelin stopped in too. She wanted to know if you were interested in meeting the rest of the leaders around here when you woke up. I took a moment to think about it. I guess it couldn't hurt. I'd like to learn more about the Annihilators. Yeah, same for me, she said, thinking for a moment before finally asking, what happened to you anyway? I mean, 1 minute the bitch was back, and then everything started to go to shit. And then you took over again and started screaming bloody murder and passed out. Long story short, Aquila tricked me into stepping onto the platform. Guess she's able to borrow power from things like megaspells. And that platform was connected to the megaspell chambers, and she took as much power as she could and used it to destroy the curse Pride used on her. Then, she still had enough power to take over my mind. All I did was reach out and take the power away from her while she was distracted by you and the stranger. Problem was, I couldn't handle that much magic, and it messed me up a little. On the plus side, with so much magic pulsing through me, without Aquila to help control it, I was able to break down some of the barriers that were blocking my memories. She looked surprised. You mean you remember everything about your past now? I blushed a little. Not everything, but I'm starting to. I ran into something inside my head that was a spell of my mom's. She explained that it would take some time for my memories to recover, but over time I'd get them back. She looked confused. You mean your mom left something of herself inside of you? That's a little weird. She did it to protect me from Aquila if she ever got too strong and the magic blocking my memories was broken by another. The echo of her that I saw was able to cage Aquila for a time. That way I'll have some time to find a way of ridding myself of her, or at the very least, blocking her for good, I replied. So we don't have to worry about her? Not for a while, at least. It'll take some doing, make it a lot easier when we find a way to get Stardust back to normal. If I'm lucky, I might have a way to help Mom, too. She frowned. I thought you said we'd have to kill her. We might have to, but I'm hoping that whatever happened to her can be fixed. I don't know what it was. Either Pride modified her memories or something else happened to make her forget me. But if I can get my memories back, then so can she. Well, I won't argue with you there, but I'm still down for killing her. She's not a good pony, Shadow. You're only saying that because of how you feel about your own mom. No, I really mean it, Shadow. She's not a good pony. Not anymore. Even if you do fix what happened to her. You really think she'll just magically be the mother you used to know? I shrugged. No, but I have to give her the chance to explain herself. Sometimes moms do things for their children that they can't understand. She looked over at me. Not my mother. She's too busy being the high and mighty leader of the Red Talons to care one bit for her own kids. Are you sure about that? Shadow, I've known my mother a lot longer than you. Yeah, I'm sure. Sometimes I wish she wasn't a leader, just to see if we'd be different. But I know I'm just fooling myself. I looked away and kept my muzzle shut. I couldn't just outright tell Aura the truth about Gigi. I wanted to, but I gave my word I wouldn't, unless she asked me about it. When some time finally passed, I asked Aura, "Can we talk about what we were talking about before Stardust attacked?" Her eyes fell and she looked down at her talons. Shadow, I'm not sure I can talk about this. I keep trying, but every time I get close I seem to choke and can't get the words past my beak. Aura, I think I know what's on your mind if you can't seem to find the words to say it yet. Then that's fine. Her eyes darted to me and she said, I don't think you know what I'm thinking, Shadow. I smiled back at her, my red eyes meeting her blue ones. You're wrong, Aura. I've been watching you and have gotten used to how you think. I'm sure I know what's bothering you. But like I said, I'm willing to wait for you to be ready. I'll let you set the pace, and I know one day that you'll tell me. And the problem is, what if I wait too long? What if something happens and I never have the chance to tell you? Just make sure that doesn't happen. And even if it does, then there's nothing we can do about it. She looked away. You mean a lot to me, Shadow. No matter what happens, I want you to know that. It's just that with everything happening, I feel like it's not the right for me to say what I want to. It's selfish. It's not selfish. It's okay to have feelings, Aura. This world is so hard and short. You don't know how to weigh your feelings when you don't have to. She smiled. I'll try my best, Shadow. I mean that. That's all I care about. And I'll tell you this. You mean a lot to me too, Aura. I couldn't imagine what my life would be without you or any of my friends, I said. She was blushing now. I needed to hear that. Thanks for talking to me. I'm always here for you, Shadow. Likewise, Aura. The door to the office burst open and I heard Wingnut say, When did Shadow wake up? Aura, I told you to tell me when she woke up. Normally, I'd be pissed at the little shit walking in on our conversation. But for once, I think that Aura and I were able to say what we wanted to say. Aura's feelings for me were more than just that two friends shared. I could see it now, but I wasn't going to push her. She was finally getting over the loss of Tripwire, and I had to leave it up to her to figure out how she truly felt. As for me, I could feel something for Aura. I wasn't sure what they were yet. It was different than with Silver, and I'd known Aura longer. Silver and I never had the chance to get to know each other like I knew Aura. I did love Silver, but we only had a physical relationship with little emotional starting point. Sprout. If she hadn't died, we could have had time to explore those feelings. The thought of Silver dying still hurt, but I knew now that she died for me. It wasn't the same as how Aura lost Tripwire. It was easier for me to accept than it was for her. So I'd give her the time she needed and hope that she was able to get her mind straight before the wasteland caught up with us, as it always did. I looked back at Wingnut and smiled. I just woke up. She was just about to go get you. That's right, boss. I was just explaining to her what happened, Aura said. Good, because I want to know what we're doing next. Wind Thrasher's reading another book, and she keeps talking to it like the characters can hear her, and it's starting to get on my nerves, Wingnut said, wrinkling up his face. Girls are so weird. Wind Thrasher walked in behind him, swatted him in the back of the head. We aren't weird. You're just too young to understand grown-up things like that. He rubbed the back of his head. Hey, that hurt. I thought you were the pony who didn't like to hurt other ponies. She grinned at him evilly. Oh,
I don't mind hurting ponies. I just don't like to kill. Keep making fun of the books I like, and I can scar you for life.
He stuck his tongue out at her.
Yeah, right. You can't do that. I've seen some things. Oh, really?
She pulled out one of her books and opened it up, reading.
Ruby laid herself down on the bed, her breath coming out quick and hard as the stallion she loved moved down on her, kissing her down the neck. It was a feeling she had never experienced before. Her eyes couldn't get enough of his lean body and... Ah! Make her stop!
Wingnut said, running to hide from her. All three of us started to laugh as the colt glared at us. I moved over to him, pulling him into a hug. Don't worry, kiddo. I'll protect you from the big bad bat pony. He pushed me away.
Yo, stop being so girly. All of you!
Maybe you'll understand a mare's feelings the more you hang around with us, and find a nice mare for yourself. I chuckled a bit, sensing Wingnut's uncomfortableness.
Ah.
Wingnut groaned in disgust, and just submitted to the hug. I let him go, then looked up at my friends. It was nice to see these ponies here, laughing with me and enjoying the small time we had to just enjoy ourselves. It was so different when I was in a stable. No pony cared I was a unicorn, or what color my coat was. They didn't see me for the short mare that I was, or a pony who fucked up more than once. To them, I was Shadowstar, their friend, a pony they all loved. I wasn't sure why, but seeing that brought a few tears to my eyes.
What's wrong, Shadow?
Wingnut asked, looking up at me, his face growing concerned. I wiped away the tears and smiled. I just realized how lucky I am to have all you as my friends. Even with Stardust gone completely insane and losing Silver, I'm still lucky to have all you at my side. Windthresher's smile grew and she said,
Shadow, we're all lucky. Without you, none of us would get to know each other. You're the pony who brought us all together, and we're thankful for that.
Yeah, what Batty said, Aura said, grinning at me.
Ditto. And I know we'll get Stardust back soon, and the rest of us can help you get your mom back.
Wingnut added. I rubbed my eyes again. Stop it. You're gonna make me cry. Aura laughed. That can't be helped. You're a big crybaby as it is, Shadow. We all laughed again. When it finally died down, I said, go meet with the other leaders here. I think it'd be nice to have something to do that didn't have an agenda attached to it.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Aura agreed. Javelin was waiting just outside the office, talking with a mare we saw earlier, guarding the gate. As we approached, Javelin said,
Ah, I see you're finally up, courier. Are you feeling better?
I nodded.
I'm glad to hear it,
she said, giving us a small smile.
I think you remember Smokescreen?
Yeah, she's the mare who didn't want to let us in at first, Aura said. I was just following my orders, she said, smirking at Aura. It's not often I get to meet a griffin. How'd you end up working with someone like the courier? Aura laughed. I don't work for Shadow anymore. I'm the Colt's bodyguard. She looked over at me.
Oh, is that so?
Wingnut smirked at her.
Yep, she works for me.
So are you a Red Talon? Smokescreen asked Aura.
No, I'm not.
I'm a freelancer, Aura said, not alerting more on the subject.
That's too bad,
she said. Why's that? I asked, looking at Smokescreen, then Javelin. Javelin was the one to answer. Smokescreen's my new god captain. She's been wanting to set up a contract with the Red Talons, but we don't see any griffins around here. Aura looked at Smokescreen. It was as if she was taking the measure of the mare. I couldn't help doing the same. She was young, probably only a few years older than me, more like Windthresher was. She was cute in her own way, with her smoky gray eyes, her light blue coat that had white on her muzzle and the tips of her ears, and her copper mane. She did have a hard edge on her as well. In fact, she was a unicorn that carried around a battle saddle with a grenade launcher on it. One side and a missile launcher on the other side helped I guess. Her cutie mark was a black and gray smoke shaped like a wall. After a minute passed, Aura finally spoke. Why would a pony from here want to contract the Red Talons? She blushed a little, then looked back at Javelin, who said, She's trying to find the pony she met a couple of years back. She's been begging me to let her join us, and I finally relented. Smokescreen nodded. Since the ponies who live here can't leave whenever we want, I can't just go looking for her, so I wanted to hire a Red Talon to find her. Aura grinned. Finding a pony can get a little costly. It takes a lot of information gathering to get an idea of where they might be, and that doesn't always pan out, unless you know where to start. The Red Talons upcharge more, getting locations like that. But if it's not a pony that's being hunted because the contractor wants him dead, then the cost can go down some. It's easier to get a location on a pony who isn't on the run. You seem to know a lot about the Red Talons charge for a freelancer, Javelin said.
Her mother's leader of the Red Talons,
Wingnut said. When Aura glared at him, he said, What? It's true? She rolled her eyes. Yeah, I used to be a Red Talon. My mom is Gigi, the leader, and that's how I know about their pricing structure. Smokescreen got a little glint of hope.
Would you be able to ask one of them to come here so I can see about setting up a contract?
Possibly. But only if I run into a member or if I see my sisters again sometime soon. I'm not allowed in Crimson Canyon unless I'm with a contractor and they have business there.
Well, if you do, please tell them I'd like to speak to one of them. They don't have to worry about firing on one of them. The guards here have been told not to attack any griffin who works for the Red Talons already,
Smokescreen said. If I may, why do you want the Red Talons so bad? Being all the way out here, you could contract with one of the smaller groups, since this isn't a Red Talon territory, or even a freelancer like me. Aura asked. Javelin chuckled. She wants a Red Talon because from what we know, they're the best, and the Annihilators will only work with the best. Well, I'll pass on the message when I can. Do you know anything about this pony that'll help me find her if they decide to set up a contract? If so, it would help me convince them to make the trip.
I know a lot about her. We met a couple of years back, and I really liked her. She told me a lot about what she did for work and about the things she traded. I would have met with her more, but we got into a bit of trouble for leaving home.
Aura's face seemed to go blank for a moment as she asked, Can you tell me more about her?
She was a gray coat with red and blue striped mane. I know she used to live in freedom with her brother, but I heard later she moved into a place near Crimson Canyon, started up a caravan. Her name's Tripwire,
Smokescreen said. The look on Aura's face turned to shock, and she was speechless. I could understand why. This must have been the mare Tripwire used to like before she met Aura. Who would have known the same mare had wanted to find her for so long just so she could move into Spitfire's Flight Academy. Tripwire must have left quite an impression on this mare for her to want to find her so long.
Aura, was it? Are you okay? You look like someone just slapped you,
Smokescreen said. Aura seemed to pull herself back together. She looked down and said, I know Tripwire very well. Smokescreen looked excited as she said,
You do? Can you tell me where she is and why I haven't heard from her for so long? Did she move away from freedom? Or is she just working so much with her caravan that she doesn't have much time to get back?
Even Javelin looked happy to see the young mare so excited. Aura, on the other hoof, looked ready to vomit. She looked away from the excited mare and said, She did start her caravan for a while, and I used to be her bodyguard. I worked with her for a long time. The look on Aura's face was painful to see, and even Smokescreen seemed to notice, because she stopped jumping up and down and her face fell.
You're kind of scaring me with that look, Aura,
she said. I'm sorry I have to tell you this, but Tripwire died 7 months ago. Smokescreen brought up a hoof to her muzzle, and her expression matched Aura's as she said,
Oh no, I had no idea.
Aura looked back at her and said, I wish I could say that her death was fast. That'd probably be a lie. I was with her in her last moments, though. I made sure she got a proper burial.
The mare looked sad for a long moment before she asked, I take it you got to know her well over the past couple of years?
Ora nodded. She was a special pony. So kind and caring. Always willing to help a pony in need. Yeah, I got to know her well.
To my surprise, Smokescreen smiled. It's nice to see she made a good friend out there. When I met her, she was so alone that only her older brother was around. If you don't mind me asking, and it's okay with your contractor, do you mind telling me more about her?
Ora smiled, then looked back at the rest of us. Is that okay with all of you?
Wingnut smiled. I'll be fine with Shadow and Windthrasher. You go do what you need to do, Ora.
She turned back to Smokescreen. I think talking with her and with a mare who knew her would do me a lot of good. If you're free right now, I'd love to talk to you about her.
Smokescreen looked at Javelin, who nodded.
You have a few hours before you need to check on the new recruits. Go and enjoy yourself for a while.
With that done, the two of them walked off towards one of the guard towers. When they were gone, Javelin said,
Well, I didn't expect that to happen, but it's good to see Smokescreen smile. She doesn't do so much nowadays.
I looked up at the leader of the Annihilators and asked, Why's that?
Growing up here, you tend to find it hard to find a good relationship. Every pony here grows up together almost like family. And when ponies get to the age where they want to find some pony to spend their life with, it's not easy when you see the pony you want to be the most with, like a sibling. For Smokescreen, it's even harder. She's the only mare in this place who likes other mares. It makes for a lonely life.
Javelin said. I could understand where she was coming from. I had to deal with much of the same thing. The only stallion who would have wanted to be with me was in stable 28, was Balefire, and I didn't see him more than like a big brother. It could get awkward sometimes. I smiled and said, I know that feeling. I'm from a stable, and I know about the growing up with some pony being like families like. Even more so when you like other mares too. My stable was forbidden, so I had to keep it a secret.
Javelin chuckled. It was the same in our stable too. I was just a filly when we left it, but that tradition stuck when we moved here. When I took the leader position of the Annihilators 10 years ago, I changed that.
Why did you do that? Windthrasher asked.
She looked back towards where Smokescreen walked off with Ora, saying, Because I saw how much a stupid rule like that hurt Smokescreen. She's my granddaughter, and I wanted to make her happy. She may not be allowed to leave, but I still want to make her happy. And if that's with a mare, then so be it.
Wow, I wish my overmare was that nice, I said with a smile.
Javelin smiled too. A leader should always put her ponies first, not her own desires. Yes, there are some rules that you have to keep and enforce to keep order, but small things like who you are allowed to love shouldn't be one of them. Now I'd like you to meet our doctor. I think he'd love to meet you, Windthrasher.
She looked over at Javelin, a little fear in her eyes. Why's that?
Oh, don't worry, he won't bite. He's a nice stallion. He'll like to meet you because of what you are. I've never seen a pony like you before, and I know he'll love to ask you some questions about how you ended up like that.
How do you know she wasn't born that way? Wingnut asked.
She laughed. Oh, child, I've been around for a long time, and I've seen things most ponies would say are impossible. I can tell by looking at Windthrasher she wasn't born that way. I mean, who in Equestria is born a bat pony with dragon eyes and scales?
She shrugged. It's not like it couldn't happen. Just saying.
That's true, but I'm sure some pony had a hoof in turning her into what she is. Now, follow me,
she said, turning and heading towards a smaller building with a large red cross on the side. I snickered at the look on Windthrasher's face and patted her on the back. Come on. I don't think he can be as bad as Dr. Cell. She looked at me like I was asking her to fight 3 hellhounds by herself. You don't know that. And neither do you, I said,
and still laughing as we followed her to the clinic. By Celestia's holy rump! You mean to tell me that a scientist in your stable was able to turn you into this with a couple of potions and a little magic? In a few hours? Dr. Gaze said as he lifted Windthrasher's leathery wings for what had to be the 12th time. That's just fascinating! Who would have guessed a pony would have figured out how to properly splice DNA onto the creature with a pony like that? Not just one, but two. And you're still alive? Windthrasher looked like a statue. From what I could tell, she didn't like being touched by doctors. I could understand why, after all she'd gone through in her stable. Her eyes were locked on the far wall as she kept twitching every time he used his magic to poke or prod a different part of her. When he finished talking, she said mechanically, "He was one of the best minds in bioscience engineering for many years. He tested out on a lot of animals in our stable before he did this to me." What stable were you from again? The doctor finally dropping her wing and moving around her to open her muzzle for a moment, looking at her sharp fangs and teeth. I'm amazed at how healthy you are. When he let her mouth go, she said, Stable 9. I was trapped there for 20 years. He looked even more amazed. You don't look old enough to have been locked away in a run-down stable for that long. How old were you when this happened? She shrugged. Very young. Mom said I was one of the youngest ponies she'd ever seen get her cutie mark. I was a few years younger than any other pony that had gotten theirs in the stable. We had been in the clinic for 2 hours now. The doctor was asking Windthrasher question after question while he examined her. I was surprised at how calm she was being this whole time. He looked her over once more, and then looked over at me. You say that her stable was full of bloodwings? I think so. From what I read in the Wasteland Survival Guide, they sure looked like him. Only smaller and with a lot more intelligence, I said. Wingnut was sitting next to me, his eyes drooping. He looked like he was about ready to pass out again. Bloodwings are the mutated version of the vampire fruit bat. If the ones he made in the stable were the same, he may have just found a better way of making them, a more perfect version than the ones nature had made after the bombs. Is that what he used to make you, Windthrasher? He asked. She nodded. He already created one blood bat before I was hurt. That's what he called them. I didn't know they were called bloodwings until I met Shadow. He also used stored DNA we had in the lab to mix in the dragon DNA. He looked thoughtful. Do you ever feel the need to feed on blood like a bloodwing would? She blushed and looked away. I feel the need every now and then. That happens more when I'm stressed out or scared. I've gotten good in fighting over the last few years, but I try not to kill because I'm scared I won't be able to fight if I do. That is a concern I understand. Vampire fruit bats, from what I've read, had an unsatiable urge to eat fruit by sucking the juice right out of them, faster than should be possible. That's how they got their name. It's almost like instinct and very hard to stop. I'm amazed you do so well to keep that urge down yourself. I wonder if there's a way to get rid of that urge for good. Windthrasher's eyes fell. Doctors said once my body changed, there was no way to fix what he did or to get rid of my urges. Dr. Gaz laughed. From what you've told me about him, it sounded like he was a little cracked. I'm sure if the right pony was to look at your DNA and understand what was done to you, then they could fix the urge to drink blood. I'm sure that turning you back into a pony would be possible too, but I'm not sure. I don't even know everything that's been done to you. You mean there might be a way to fix her? I asked. I can't say that for sure, but it is possible. At the very least, I'm sure there's a way to get rid of the problem with wanting to drink blood. Though I need a sample of her own blood to know for sure. Windthrasher looked like she was ready to kiss the older stallion. You mean it? I sure do. It'd be a fun challenge. I don't get much work around here, so I find myself with a lot of free time. If you'd be willing to let me have a sample of your blood, I'll see what I can do. I'd be okay with that, Windthrasher said, looking more excited than I'd ever seen her before. As I watched them, Javelin stepped into the clinic and said to me, Courier, could I have a word with you outside for a moment? Sure, no problem, I said, getting up and making sure Wingnut hadn't fallen asleep against me. I followed her outside, then asked,
What's going on, Javelin? She looked around to make sure no one was listening before she told me.
I want to see about hiring you to make a delivery for me. One that you can't let any pony else here know about.
Might be able to do that. It all depends upon where you need me to go and why, I said. She looked a little scared for a moment before she said,
I know I made a big deal about Trotston earlier when you first arrived, but that was mostly for show. You see, I've been trying to change things around here for some time now, throwing off the ways of my predecessors. One of the biggest problems now is that we're in the mistrust of that downtown.
I noticed that when I brought them up before. Trotston has much of the same opinion as you do, though from their side I think they just want your town to leave them alone.
Yes, my ponies have given them a lot of trouble over the past few years. All over the stable we left half a century ago. I want that to end. I don't expect us to have our two settlements will have a friendly reaction towards each other, but I wanted to try and at least stop the mistrust and hatred between our two groups. Both sides have lost a lot of ponies over a stupid thing like them taking over our old stable.
That's what I don't get. I'm from a stable too, and as much as I understand how hard it is to let go of your home, why do you all hate them so much? I asked.
We didn't at first. The first leader of the Annihilators was the one who told them they could use the stable. It wasn't until a couple of years after that that the fighting started. We weren't even the ones who started it, at least that's what I'm told. All I know is that it all started with a stallion from Trotston who wanted to be a mare from the Annihilators.
I put up a hoof. You mean this whole thing started over a bad romance?
She shrugged. I don't know the details, as I said before, but from what I know, it looks like it. The thing is, it doesn't matter anymore. I want to see if you can bring a letter to the leader of Trotston. I want him to meet up with me on neutral grounds to see if we can find a way to mend things between our groups.
I don't see Rusty doing that. He wouldn't be able to trust you. He would think it was a trap of some kind.
My thoughts exactly. That's why I need you. The mission I have for you should help that. After hearing that your Griffin friend was a former Red Talon, I had an idea. I also want you to bring a letter to the Red Talons and request that a ring of their Griffins sit in on the negotiations, serving as a neutral party while we talked, to make sure neither side tries anything. If you do this, I'll pay you 2,000 caps, and I'll pay whatever the Red Talons need me to. I'll give you 2 letters, one for the Red Talons, and one for Trotston,
she said, her face still looking scared, as if some pony was going to overhear what she was saying. I mulled it over for a moment and said, I guess I could do that, though I'm not sure what good it can do with Trotston. At the moment I'm banned from going into the city because of Wind Thresher, but I can at least try. She smiled. That would be perfect. She reached into her saddlebags and pulled out a few bags of caps and 2 letters that had sealed with wax. In the letter for the Red Talons, I've told them to send a Griffin here to settle the amounts that'll need to be paid. Once that's good, I'll have them let you know that you can tell you to get the other letter to Trotston. Taking everything that she had, I said, I'll head that way after I'm done here. If nothing else gets in my way, that is. I need to go back there anyway to talk to Gigi about getting an update on my missing friend. The sooner you can do that, the better. But I understand that things can get in the way. Just try and get this done as soon as you can, she said. I will. Was there anything else you need me to do? I asked. No, that's all. Thank you for helping, Courier. I smiled. No need to thank me. It's what I do, and it's good to see that you want to find a way to fix things with Trotston. She smiled and turned to leave, saying, War isn't the answer, Courier. Have a good night. When she left, I saw Aura flying towards me. She landed a moment later, a smile on her face. You look happy, Aura. I am. It's nice to talk to Smokescreen about Tripwire. It helped me get past some of the lingering things about her, she said. Did you tell her about your relationship with her? She shook her head. No, but I think she figured that out. That wasn't what we needed to talk about. I was about to ask her something when my pip-buck dinged. The hell? I lifted it up, looking at the message that came up on the screen. Decryption complete for transmission from Stable 28. Do you want to play the audio file now? Yes. No. I almost forgot about the transmission from my stable. It took a lot longer than I thought it would. I looked at Aura and said, "Should I listen to this now?" "It's from your stable, Shadow. You never know what it could be." I'm just worried it's something stupid from the Overmare. If that's what it is, so what? Just ignore it afterwards. But what if it's from one of your friends or Auntie? She had a point, so I clicked on yes and listened, and the voice of Auntie came out over the Mark II. "Shadowstar, sweetie, I hope you were able to get this. Not easy for me to find out where you are at in the wasteland while I'm stuck in Stable 28. I know I told you that you needed to run far away from this place and to never look back, and I hate to have to tell you this, since I'm sure you're still trying to find your mother. The stable is in danger, and you need to come home right away. I can't explain to you everything that's happening right now, but the Overmare has lost her mind. She's brought griffins from an unknown Talon company into the stable, declared martial law, started executing ponies who make too much trouble for her, and has started imprisoning ponies she doesn't feel like outright killing. She's changed the passcodes to the door, so we can't get out with the help of the Mark II. I know that this is a lot to ask of you, sweetie, but we need you. She's already thrown Strawberry Milkshake into a cell, and she's ordered the griffins she's hired to start hunting you down. I don't know why she wants the Mark II so bad, but she's willing to do whatever she can to get it. If that's all she wanted with you, I'd tell you to stay away. I can take dying to protect you, but I can't watch the rest of the stable die with me. I'm in hiding right now, but it's only a matter of time before she finds me. There's no other places to hide in the stable. Save the ponies from Stable 28, and don't come alone. If you can get a message to Boxtape about this, he'll know what to do if you tell him it's a code PP287. I love you, Shadow, and if you can make it here in the time to save us, then make sure you kill the Overmare. She can't be left alive. I'll do what I can for now. This transmission repeats. Shadowstar, sweetie, I hope you were able to get this." I shut the file off and looked at Aura with horror written on my face. My stable. Aura reacted faster than I can. "Now's not the time, Shadow. If your stable's in trouble, then we have to act now. That transmission's a few days old already, and we don't have time. Quickly bring up your broadcaster and look for military channel 55878. I did. I found the file quickly, then asked, "Now what?" She pulled my pip-buck closer to herself, tapped on something and set into it. "Emergency broadcast to the Red Talons. This is Aura Blood Talon with a message for Gigi or Apollo." She paused for a moment, then I heard Gigi's voice echo out of my pip-buck. "Aura, you'd better have a good reason for using this channel." "Shut it, Mom, this is an emergency. Shadow was able to decrypt the transmission from Stable 28. Looks like a Talon company is working with their Overmare, and they're doing something nasty. They're killing ponies and trying to send out some of the griffins to hunt down Shadow," Aura said. A pause, then Gigi said, "Stable 28 is near Cartreel, right?" "It is." "That's Red Talon territory. No Talon company would dare work any contract in my territory. Don't worry. We'll send 3 wings to meet you in Cartwheel. I'll let Shadow show them to the stable." I pulled the Mark II closer to myself. "I thought your Talon company didn't go into active stables." Gigi laughed. "Normally, yes. But we do have an unwritten rule. If a stable is under attack from an outside group, like a rogue Talon company, we will make an exception. Greta made the rule about stables to keep us from helping ponies out here attack them. This is different. Now head to Cartwheel, and my griffins will meet you there. Gigi out." Then the signal went dead. I was shaking with rage now. The thought of the Overmare hurting the ponies I grew up with, the ponies I called friends, hurting Auntie, who was like another mother to me. No, I wasn't going to let this stand. It was time to go home. I looked at Aura again. "Let's get Windthrasher and Wingnut." "Good idea. But do you have a plan?" she asked. I grinned.
No, not a plan. Not yet, at least. I do know, however, that it's time to kill that bitch who calls herself my overmare. Footnote. Level up. New perk added. Deja vu. Hey, remember that time when... And the other time when... Well, you will now. Due to the damage you have dealt to the magic your mother placed on your past memories, you will now start to randomly remember things from your distant past. Just remember... Oh wait, you haven't yet. Quest perk added. Mysterious Pony rank 2. The Mysterious Pony has made himself known to you, helping you on your journey, but still keeping to the shadows. The Mysterious Pony will now appear